So this is a 2013 Honda Accord. This vehicle is having an issue with its charging system, whereby when I put a fully charged battery inside the vehicle, I can only drive it for a few minutes before the electronics start going off. I might start noticing from the steering start getting hard. Before you know, the battery is depleted completely. So I've confirmed there was signal getting to the single pin of the alternator. So that alone make me decide to change the alternator itself. So before starting anything, the first thing I have to do is to disconnect the battery, especially the negative post of the battery, so that it will prevent any kind of spark that can occur when removing the alternator. So the first step is to take out the serpentine belt, that is the driving belt. But yeah, I've taken out the belt already. The process is just to look for a 17mm and pry down this stud that you're looking at. It has a 17mm head, so then the belt will be free, then you can remove it. Then we take out this bolt from the alternator. That is a 14mm bolt. And there's another bolt buried behind the tensioner. And to remove this tensioner, we have to remove this Torx bolt buried inside the tensioner also. This bolt is not easily accessed. Then along the line, we are going to also take out the connector for the alternator, then the battery post cable. And again, for the tensioner, the adjuster, there's also a 12mm bolt holding it down. This so that the pretensioner or the adjuster will be free. So I've loosened these bolts. It's just for me to take it out. So this is the 12 bolts also holding the adjuster. So after taking that bolt out, you'll notice that this pretensioner or the adjuster is free. Now the only thing holding it is the Torx bolt holding it down at the center. That bolt is buried inside. You can't even see it. You have to just kind of feel it and work it out. Now I got different sockets to take it out. This is a 50 Torx socket, but this place is very, very tight. There's no way I can even use this socket, so I have something else I can use, but same number of sockets. So with this I can easily work it out, but the bolt was very, very strong. So once I get the socket to grip well with the bolts, with the Torx bolts, all I just need to do is to push it anti-clockwise just to work it loose. So yeah, I've been able to work it loose, and I just have to carefully start losing the bolt out gradually. So yeah, I've been able to work it out a little bit. So I used the other first socket I had to be able to turn it anti-clockwise to be able to take out the adjuster out fully. Now if you look carefully, you will see the bolt coming out from that hole. So that was the bolt I was talking about that you can't see physically. You just have to work your way to lose it out. But once it's out, you'll be able to see the bolts clearly. So now I've been able to loosen out the bolts, and you can see the adjuster just came right out of the side of the engine. So I just have to bring it out. So if you look carefully, you'll see the bolt buried inside that hole. So this is the Torx bolt that was holding down the adjuster. The funniest thing is you don't want to worn out this kind of bolt with where it is buried. You are going to have a hard time taking it out if that bolt gets worn out. Now we can see the bolt I was talking about holding the alternator that was behind the adjuster. This is the bolt. So there's no way we can access this bolt without taking out the adjuster. So the next thing is just to remove the other bolt holding it down there, then take out the connectors for the alternator, then the B post cable, and the alternator will come right out. I think it's better now. Just come try it out. So now the replacement part that was brought by the part seller, I noticed 3 differences between the one that was brought and the one that the car had. Firstly, I noticed that these edges are not the same. Like if you look at the edges of this one, it sweeps in and more compared to this one. The second difference is these edges. If you look at this one, it has like a L shape compared to this one that is just a flat surface. And now the third difference is the distance between these brackets. If you look at this one, is more compared to the other one. And if I try to use this one, you can see the clearance is much more. So this alternator will not work for this vehicle. So the alternator seller wasn't getting the differences I was trying to communicate to him. So I had to drive the car down to his office to actually pick the right alternator myself. And I couldn't even video the whole process. But this was after the whole replacement. I was heading back to my workshop. So for these Honda vehicles, there's a particular point I would like to emphasize, because I've seen a lot of technicians struggle with this particular thing, and mostly it's because of maybe they are not informed about it. So there's a way the charging system on most Hondas work. It's different from a lot of vehicles. So what Honda did is that they have something in their vehicles that is called ELD. It's called electrical load detector. And mind you, it is different from that little black current sensor that you see on the negative terminal of most Honda vehicles. So what the ELD does basically and generally is that it monitors the electrical load on the vehicle. That is, it monitors the amount of electrical power the car is using at that point in time. Now, that information will be sent to the PCM, and the PCM will now in turn use that information to communicate with the alternator on how and when to charge the battery of the vehicle. And mind you, PCM stands for Powertrain Control Module. So now, the tricky part, or the part that usually becomes confusing for most people, is how the alternator charges the battery. So basically, the alternator charges on 2 different modes. It has the low mode and it has the high charging mode. So for the low mode, when it is operating on low mode, so what the alternator or the charging system is doing at that time basically is just to maintain the battery. So at low mode, the voltage is going to be below 12.6 volts. So, and 12.6 volts on a normal car is indicating that there's an issue with the engine running. It indicates that there's a serious issue with the charging system, that the charging system is not working. If it were to be a Toyota or a Ford and I check the voltage and I see 12.6 with the engine running, automatically I know I have a bad alternator or a bad wiring to the alternator. But for some of these Honda vehicles, it is working just fine, even below 12.6. It actually reduces the voltage when there is no electrical demand for fuel efficiency. But for the other mode, which is the high mode, the voltage is typically above 14 volts, but sometimes it will vary between 13 volts and 14.5 volts. So it does this when you typically turn on most electrical load, like your high beams, you turn your radio to high, you turn your blower motor to high, most of those high electrical demanding devices. So once it senses that, it raises up the charging system voltage. So now let me demonstrate it. Now the engine is running and look at it, it's charging at 12.22. It's as if it's not even charging at all, but it's running. Now let me turn on the full light and you see it will start climbing up. Now full light is on. You see it started climbing up 12.46. Let me turn on the blower motor. The blower motor is on now. You see 12.77. It will climb up till it gets to 14. Now it's 13. So if I leave it or I keep turning on other accessories, it will keep climbing on. The high beams are on. The blowers is on high. Now with the blower on high speed, you can see now it gets to 14.06, then 13.94. So the more electrical load I have on this vehicle, or I'm using on this vehicle, we make this charging state around 14 volts or 13.5 above. So this is the old one I took out, the bad one. With this one, it was just going down below 11 volts. So that is when I knew this alternator was bad. And funny enough, the coils, the stator, the rotor might still be good. But what fails mostly is this module. It's just a single pin that receives signal from the PCM.